we're going through an incredible exercise now of kind of redefining our service to America and to local councils. And while Cleveland's programs nurture entrepreneurs, the BSA programs help to nurture the growth of American youth. So I'd pose the question, I guess, since it's 100 years, maybe it's time to ask the question, why do we need scouting? Or maybe, is scouting relevant? Or why is scouting relevant? Or maybe it could be the question, what would be the difference if there was no scouting for another 100 years, if scouting just went away? For those of you who may have heard about the Boy Scouts but really don't know a whole lot about us, let me tell you a little bit about, so you can visualize how the program works. From the time a boy can join as 6-year-old tiger cub, scouting lays a trail to help guide that youngster to grow into a young man. The trail's fun, it's exciting, it's challenging. As that tiger cub grows older and makes his way through Cub Scouts, he learns the values of helping other people, of good citizenship, fair play, and respect for others. Through a simple project like building a Pinewood Derby car where he works with a parent or another adult, he learns about the benefit of having rules for everybody. He learns about the thrill of competition and the agony of defeat, and the joy of cheering his friends on as they compete. And along with these fun activities, there's the challenge of advancing from tiger to wolf to bear and to Webelos, and the recognition and reward that goes with that. Then at 11 years old, that young fella is old enough to join the Boy Scouts. Now the bar is set just a little bit higher to meet the challenges of advancement from tenderfoot to second class, and then first class, and star, and life, and hopefully, ultimately, the pinnacle rank, Eagle Scout. And along the way, the trail gets a bit tougher and a little more individualized through the Merit Badge program. But even so, as it gets tougher, the rewards and accomplishments behind what Scouting has to offer become much more valuable. From that first week-long camp out, or to leading 8 other boys as a patrol leader, to his first try at whitewater rafting, or reaching the top of a mountain at a high-adventure camp, this young man learns the values and qualities of leadership and independent thinking that he picks up along the way, and ultimately and eventually turns this young scout into a young man. If that young man reaches Scouting's pinnacle and earns the Eagle Award, that recognition not only serves as his personal accomplishment, but it serves as an example of the other kinds of great leaders Scouting can turn out. We also offer the Venturing program, as you've heard, youth development program for kids between 14 and 20, both boys and girls. Many people don't realize that Scouting is coeducational. Venturing purpose is to provide positive experiences to help young people mature and prepare them to become responsible and caring adults. And it also has an advancement program through Gold, Silver, and Ranger Awards, and the Sea Scouting program is part of Venturing. Now, through these programs, we like to think that Scouting is responsible for helping to create a lot of our country's great leaders. Some of you may have heard of, some of them you haven't. But they still, whoever they are, contribute greatly to the guidance of young people and the quality of life in communities all across America. Consider this story. We'll take a look at a couple of these leaders. There was a young fella in Texarkana, Texas, who was having trouble. His life was on a decidedly downward and dangerous path, and he was on the road to not good things. A good man in that town took him under his wing and brought him into Scouting, and that simple act turned his life around. Today, you can see a giant eagle sculpture in the lobby of the National Scouting Museum in Irving, given as a tribute to this good man whose name was Josh Morris. What's not particularly well known is that troubled youth he helped to turn around was one of your speakers some time back, H. Ross Perot. And in his tribute to his scoutmaster, Josh Morris, Ross commissioned that statue to commemorate Josh's contribution. And then there's Ernie Green. The name Ernie Green may not be particularly familiar to all of you right away, but very important figure in our history. Ernie Green was one of the Little Rock Nine, the first 9 African-American students to attend an all-white high school in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957. He made history on May 27, 1958, when he became the first African-American to graduate from Little Rock's Central High at a time when integration was at a crisis stage in our country. Ernie was also a Boy Scout, and he earned his Eagle at the age of 15. He has been recognized as a distinguished Eagle Scout. He serves on the board of the National Capital Area Council of the Boy Scouts. He's also the recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award in the United States. As he looks back on those troubled times, Ernie credits Scouting with giving him the strength and conviction to make decisions that helped to change the fabric of this country and make it a better place for all of us to live. And there are many more famous names in our history that got there through scouting. Astronaut Jim Lovell of Apollo 13, and late President Gerald Ford, and Baseball Hall of Famer Hank Aaron, just to name a few. But there are plenty of others who are not so famous, but whose contribution to our society is just as important. This room is filled with them. You and I know them as postmen, the policeman, the school teacher, the neighbor next door, who all lived their lives practicing the precepts that they learned in scouting through regular application of the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. Individuals who were always ready to lend a hand, to be a participating citizen in their community, and who always seemed to be willing to contribute to the quality of life around them. With over 100 million young people participating in scouting during our first century of service to America, it's not hard to understand the impact that scouting has had on the fabric of our society. And across our great land, the first 100 years of the Boy Scouts of America has been simply spectacular. And those 100 years are going to be capped with a year-long celebration of scouting throughout this anniversary year, 2010. We are so excited and so amped. Simply put, our mission is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetime by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Law. The Scout Oath and Law are fundamental precepts in terms of how to live a good life, how to be a good, decent human being, wherever you go in life and whatever you become. And I would submit that America today perhaps needs what scouting has to offer more than ever before. You know, it's really a tough world out there for young people today, and that's why scouting has so much to offer, to help them grapple with sets of issues that you and I didn't have to face when we grew up. Most often people think of the Boy Scouts as a feel-good organization full of bright, happy kids who go camping. And up until now, many of you may not have seen scouting as an advocate for young people. In fact, scouting offers so much more than just fun times in the outdoors. Now, don't get me wrong. The great outdoors and outdoor activity is very important. It truly is. But what is so profoundly special about scouting is that great outdoors, in fact, is the wonderful place where we can channel energy into addressing some of our nation's greatest challenges. One issue, for example, that is of particular concern to me is the health of our young people. Not long ago, former U.S. Surgeon General Richard Carmona testified before Congress on childhood health. And he said a lot of things, wonderful testimony, but his most alarming statement to me was this. And he said, and I quote, "Because of the increasing rates of obesity, unhealthy eating habits, and physical inactivity, we may see the first generation in history that will be less healthy and have shorter life expectancy than their parents." That statement terrified me, and it should terrify all of us. The health and well-being of our younger generation is what our future depends on. And this isn't just about scouting, my friends. This is about us as a people, about us as a society. Who's going to pay the health costs that are implied in that statement? We can't figure out how to take care of the health costs we have now. Who's going to provide a healthy workforce to come to work for each of us and provide a day's work for a day's pay with a great American work ethic that's going to keep our goods and services competitive in the workplace if they're as unhealthy as this predicts? How are we going to field a vibrant and dynamic and healthy military as we see today young people go off and defend those freedoms that we so enjoy? And scouting has a lot to offer on this issue. There are mountains to climb. There's rivers to cross. There's still the bacon to be played, for gosh sakes. We've got to continue to aggressively deal with the issue of inactivity and physical inactivity in young people. And you know, we know that there's lots of distractions that keep young people sedentary. Most of them have to do with high-tech, computers and video games and other high-tech interests. And yeah, we've got a computer merit badge. We encourage scouts to stay up with the technology around them. But deep down in our heart and soul, we hope that that scout's computer is a laptop and that he's enjoying it sitting under a shady tree deep in the forest that he took a long and sweaty hike to get to as he sits there and explores this wonderful nature, learns about himself, and learns about this wonderful world that God has given him to explore and to lead. The new Boy Scout shirt has an iPod pocket on its left sleeve. We've been criticized for that. Some scoutmaster would say, leave that at home. But I'll guarantee you tell the boy to leave it at home, he's going to have to stay home with it. So let's figure out how to make it work in the woods. The Boy Scout Handbook is a downloadable application to an iPod and an iPhone. And it won't be long, all of the merit badges will be as well.